Hello and welcome to Core Finance, where I'm joined by David Paul, who's Managing Director at VectorVest. How are you today, David?
I'm great, Zach. How are yourself?
Right, I'm dying to know what your 6 stocks for the summer are. Are we going to find that out very soon?
Well, yes, I'm going to go through those. Some of them I've spoken to you about before, but they still look very, very good for the next 3 or 4 months. I think the biggest problem is that a few days ago, last Tuesday evening after the close, our longest measure of the trend on the London market turned to down. Those are what we call confirmed calls, and it's the first down signal this year. The last up signal was in December the 12th last year, and the market has been moving up since. As you can see, it's been moving up, and as it moved up the page, momentum was falling, and the line study at the bottom of the chart is in fact our proprietary measure of the breadth of the market. And although the market has been rising, it's been rising on falling breadth. I think that the levels that we're at in this market, Zach, are really important, because the market has fallen for the last 5 or 6 trading days. The lows of the day have in fact been determined by that previous high. And if we were to break down from here, then I think we can actually come down quite a long way. So these levels at the moment are incredibly important.
But are you saying that there's a bigger fall because it's taken so long for this to top out, or is there any other reason?
Well, at VectorVest, we don't try and predict the future. We have signals which are proprietary and signals which are subjective that tell us whether the market is rising or falling. At the moment, our longest measure of the trend is down, and we're advising all our subscribers to watch their stop losses exceptionally carefully. There is a possibility of a bounce if those lows hold. In other words, the high of April, that resistance becomes support, so that those levels today, if those levels today go, then I think we'll see quite a strong move to the downside. Very, very important trading day.
Okay, let's have a look at the first stock, which is looking beautiful.
Well, yes, Countryside Properties just has got that smell about that it wants to go. I have a horse a long way. It doesn't get enough exercise, and when I ride the darn thing, it just wants to run. Well, Countryside Properties looks as if it just wants to run. Undervalued, that's the green line, which is common to all the charts I'm going to show. That's our valuation. Clearly, the price in a candlestick format, and the line chart below the price is earnings per share. Earnings per share growing nice and smoothly, which is always a good sign. It's on a buy recommendation, has been on a buy recommendation, which is the green color right at the top of the chart, and it's been on a buy recommendation since April. Recently broken through a new high, a new 52-week high, and looks as if it wants to go. And so a nice percentage move there, and we have to worry about what the general market is doing. Certainly that's in a confirmed down, which doesn't add to it, but it looks to me as if it's a very strong case for a move up the page.
Okay, next situation.
I've spoken about Morgan Sindall again before, and it's in fact trending up the page. Been on a buy recommendation since January odd. Undervalued, growing earnings very strongly indeed, and if and when the general market rights itself, I would expect that to move up the page strongly. So that's the second stock that I'm looking at and holding personally.
Right, and you got that, obviously the massive potential upside there in terms of what the valuation.
Quite so, big percentage move on the upside. Big percentage move on the upside.
Okay, and then finally?
Well, there's a few more. Coats, again, common theme, undervalued, trending up the page, come back slightly, hardly anything percentage-wise with the market, and as soon as the market rights itself, if it rights itself, then I would expect a further push up the page on Coats. It had a pension issue which was hanging in the background. That pension issue was cleared up a couple of weeks ago, so I think that stopped a few people looking at it. With that out of the way, I think there's a very positive case for Coats. Yes.
So, I mean, the price action is just going up in steps, which is just very rare and very, very strong. I mean,
Yeah.
is that something that you...
Quite so. The trend is
appreciate?
strong. It's making a series of rising bottoms. Looks wonderful to me, yes.
Okay, going on.
Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto clearly undervalued significantly, growing earnings. The copper price, I think, has got legs in it over the next month or two. Looks very strong to me. Rio Tinto, like many commodity stocks, I could have put CAS on here, and I could have put Glencore on here. They're all pretty much showing the same thing, Zach. This sideways falling wedge, broken out of the falling wedge, kissed the falling wedge, and now moving up the page, and very importantly, it's on a VectorVest buy signal. Might come back and kiss that last top before going again, that previous last high, but looks strong to me, and I think that that's on its way.
I see that CAS is also broken out.
CAS is showing exactly the same thing. Glencore is showing exactly the same thing.
You're not worried about the price of gold being weak at the moment, because that's sort of dragging sentiment towards miners?
I think that this is being driven more by the price of copper. But
Right.
you're right. I think the gold.
People are choosing the strong metal and saying that's the one that we're going to go with.
Certainly Rio Tinto and Glencore, I think, and probably Anglo and certainly CAS been driven by the potential move in copper. I think the gold, you're quite right, can quite easily get down to 1185 from here. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it base out. 1191 is my next support level on gold.
Okay, let's go on to the next situation. So paper.
Yeah. Smith DS, trading in a range for a long time. We believe it's significantly overvalued. Just done a big deal, a big acquisition in the US. And the part of the deal that the city financed, they actually financed it at a price above the closing price of that day, which indicates to me enthusiasm by the institutions for the share. The company that they bought out in the US, the family that have owned the company have retained 20%, which also makes me feel that there's a fair amount of confidence in what they're doing. I think that it's run based on that acquisition. Probably pull back a little bit, but that's something that I think will do exceptionally well. I don't think there's going to be any fireworks, but I think it's going to do exceptionally well over the next 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. And lastly, a little company called Taptic, which I like the look of. It consolidated for a long time. It's been on a buy recommendation on VectorVest since April, and I called it on my blog some months ago. It's broken and come back and kissed, made that little double bottom. I love to see that, Zach, when a market breaks and then comes back and makes a little double bottom. I'm seeing them all over the show at the moment, and it's broken up through that. The fundamentals are good, the technical picture is good, and the story is good. So we've got the best of all worlds here. It's a small cap share, and you could have liquidity issues moving up the page quite strongly. So
basically people want to know more, they're enticed by what they've seen, those are the contact details. You normally have an event coming up?
Oh yes, we have one in central London at the Holiday Inn in Bloomsbury on the 25th of July. 6 o'clock at night to about 8 o'clock. And
Is that the weekend, Saturday?
It's a Tuesday night.
Okay.
It's a Tuesday night, and I'll talk people through that. Everybody's welcome. Please go to there's a small meal, so go to the website and register so I have enough food to feed everybody.
David Paul, Managing Director of VectorVest, thank you very much.
Thank you, Zach.